Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. I hope you had a wonderful week and I hope that you will have a fabulous weekend. Today, I wanted to talk to you about being predisposed to abuse. What that just means is that you, as an individual, could have characteristics, thinking processes, or patterns that put you in danger or at risk of being abused by others. And it is not to say there's anything wrong with you or it's your fault, but there are certain traumas, experiences, situations that we all go through as we are growing up that shape the way we think and shape our perceptions that we are unaware of. And sometimes, because it comes naturally, we feel that that is who we are and we have to continue operating like that. But there are certain things that we probably need to visit and interrogate and change because they do not exactly serve us. I'll give an example of the topic that we've been putting out there for the past 2 weeks, which is your idea of love, can predispose you to abuse. Your idea of love was shaped by a lot of experiences that you can't even explain yourself, but it is a wrong idea of love. So you want to be able to know what love is and align with that, and it serves you better to start believing in the real love than your idea, right? So same as some of the thought patterns and processes that you have and the beliefs that you have, some of them were based on seeing traumatic events, and they don't necessarily support what is true. So I'm going to use my examples of the things that I've picked up about me that predisposed me to abuse, and hoping that when you hear it, you can go and see if these are not um, some of the things that you're doing that could continuously put you in spaces that you could be abused. So you find that many people that don't take responsibility of their part in abusive situations end up getting into another abusive situation because they have essentially not changed and they still attract the same sort of people. Um, and so I think also that what is important is for us to remember that every single person has the responsibility of driving their own lives. Everyone always has a choice. It's just that we prefer making the choices that are easier and comfortable, um, and sometimes they don't serve us, like I said, and we need to be very, very firm with ourselves, so that we become the better versions of ourselves. Okay, so my biggest one was not wanting to make big decisions alone. I'm the person that likes taking responsibility, even if it's not my responsibility. I take on too much. I get overwhelmed a lot. That's another. That's another issue that I'll talk about later. But the one thing, the big things, for example, getting married, relocating, whatever things that can really affect a lot of people, I I tend or I look back and realize I never really wanted to take full ownership of those choices. So I would seek validation from people that I trust. I would I would read and look at professionals and all of that, and then later make my decision based on what I've heard and not really based on how I was feeling. And so, not wanting to take charge of my own feelings and interrogating them predisposed me to abuse, because when it came down to it, making a decision that would affect my life, would affect me for the rest of my life, I I left it to chance, and that was a bad decision. And going forward, I am looking and being conscious about intentionally making the final decision because it is my life after all. Okay. And then the second thing that I wanted to mention was taking on responsibility that is not supposed to be on me. So, generally in life, you cannot control what another person thinks or does, but it doesn't change the fact that we always build around people. But we have to be very intentional about including or listening to what they then bring to the table, and not just going with our own reality or our own belief of who they should be, or how they should be acting around us. So I am guilty of being on a tangent and expecting things from people without actually even communicating, and and sometimes taking responsibility for their actions that hurt me, and not allowing them to own up and change. What I've learned now is that whenever you feel you can do things better and you do it for people, you are disempowering them, and you're never going to allow them to become the person that you need, because they never get the chance to be themselves. So, and that also predisposes you to abuse, or just predisposed me particularly to abuse, because I was never looking outside of me for help. I was overwhelming myself, and I was taking whatever abuse that was coming, because I always felt that I could do something to help someone be better or be nicer, etc. Uh, and another thing was avoidance. I avoid pain. I don't know if you can identify, but courageous conversations for me, I think that is new. I never would like to have conflict with my friends, with the people in my inner circle. So if I felt some type of way, hurt, I usually just bottled it in and never really expressed my feelings openly. If I did, I would sugarcoat it so much that it doesn't really become a confrontation or interrogation of the feelings. But what I've learned now is, if you're in pain, you must let the pain go through. You cannot just avoid it and watch a series, read a book, or whatever helps you to numb the pain. You have to allow yourself to feel the pain and understand how much you can take, so that you are able to even set boundaries for yourself. So this avoidance of pain is part of my character, and I have to be intentional about not avoiding things that are beneficial to me. And then another thing is boundary setting. My boundaries, when I look back at it, have always been fuzzy. Yes, I take the time to understand things that I do not like. I write it down and I tell myself that I'm going to have boundaries. But I've always been um, I have never been very assertive about laying those boundaries with people that I love, because I always want to have benefit of the doubt there. Like, we could always change it up. If we're in a different experience that I have not anticipated, I wouldn't want to be tied to this boundary. But what that meant is my principles were also then fuzzy, because if you don't have hard set boundaries, you cannot be principled, because who are you then? And I was operating in that situation, in that zone where I would set boundaries, but I wanted an open-ended boundary that I could change in future, should there be any scenario that I have not thought of, because I'm analytical like that. But yeah, like I said, it is a problem. You cannot have fuzzy boundaries. Um, if if you're going to get into a relationship, you have to be principled. You have to know who you are and present that to the person that you're going to be with. um, and making boundaries is easy. Keeping boundaries is the harder part. So it's something that I've learned now, that once you have decided these are your firm boundaries, your deal breakers, you have to ensure that even when you're experiencing life with somebody you're in love with, um, you're not going to shake those boundaries for them and just change them willy nilly. You need to be able to discipline yourself and police your heart and emotions to follow what you know is best for you. And that is the basis of self love. Okay. And then another thing that I did, that I'm now trying to change as I grow, is giving everyone the benefit of the doubt before they earn it. People are people. People are not God. They will lie. So people sometimes come with ill intentions, and we are not able to discern it just by the first experience with them. So we must also give time to get to know people before we can give them benefit of the doubt. People have to earn your benefit of doubt. You can't, well, this is what I did. I would just give the benefit of the doubt based on what they have said. So actions, words that are not backed by actions can just be words. And this, if you're going to be naive like me, you are in danger of attracting people that know words move you, and they will just be there affirming you or saying whatever you want to hear and then lure you into an abusive situation. So, benefit of the doubt, give it to people, yes, but get to know them first. Don't give everyone the benefit of the doubt until you have observed and they've earned it. Uh, this is, I'm preaching to myself right now because it's very difficult for me to do it, but it is something that is necessary, that I've realized I have to do. Then allowing people to put you on a pedestal is also um, an issue that I now picked up, because people can love you and that's fine, but you have to realize that if someone loves you in a way that you become a god to them, that is going to come back and bite, because no one can ever be like God. If someone is putting you on a pedestal, they are telling you that you cannot function as a human. But as a human, this is where you've got the grace, right? This is where you can make mistakes and know that it's only human. You're not the first person to make a mistake. People hurt people because we do not know each other. We cannot read minds fully. So sometimes we'll make a wrong turn, sometimes we assume things, and sometimes we might just not know, we're just out of our elements. So you need someone to allow you, or you need people in your life to allow you to be human, so that you don't carry guilt and shame and pressure that is unnecessary. But if you allow people to put you on a pedestal, you are agreeing to have unrealistic expectations set for you, and it is obviously a ticking time bomb. You're always going to fail because you cannot operate like a god. So I've been guilty of allowing people to put me on a pedestal. It's nice to have the affirmation, but it is very crucial for us to take the time to refuse, um, do you know, to not accept actually expectations from yourselves that are unrealistic, because we are not built to be perfect. We can strive for perfection, but perfection is unrealistic. So and also another thing that I just want to put out there, that someone has told me, is that perfection in itself should have um, failure, because in order for something to be perfect, it has to have a balance of both sides. So you must not look at perfection in the wrong way as well, and that could dispose you to abuse, because you take on the pressure, you want to be perfect and all of that. So yeah, I think that knowing what I know now, I have a lot of work to do. It sounds simple to just, oh, just don't, just don't be naive. It sounds simple to say to somebody, just face your problems head on, just don't avoid pain, just just change the way you look at the world. If it was that easy, everyone would be changing their mindsets every other day. But because there's so many other things and factors that made you believe in the things you believe in, it has to be a process. You have to understand that you will probably do what you've been doing over and over again before you get to a point where you're actually a changed person. But it is the awareness that comes first, and then the work that follows. And the work is just reminding yourself that loving yourself is denying yourself things that seem comfortable but don't serve you. And you will only always be the only person that can judge what is good for you, because you have to know it from within. And therefore, it comes with trusting yourself and empowering yourself and refusing to be a victim. You have to empower yourself and become a survivor. Not a saint, not a god, just a survivor who's on the self-love journey, trying and knowing that they should be learning from people's experiences, from everyone, every other day, and working towards becoming the best versions of themselves. So I hope that I have helped you. Talk to me, send me an email. um, I am free to discuss my story, and I'm free to expand on what I'm trying to get at here. But there's so many other things that predispose us to abuse. We just have to be willing to do the work on growing and loving ourselves. Have a good weekend, guys.